Hey everyone, welcome back to Torment, Tides of Numenera. When we last played, we finally found Matkina
Come on,
here.
let's get moving.
Okay, we will get moving, Alikern. We have been looking for Matkina, who is another Castoff who helped build the resonance chamber. Or we think that she helped build the resonance chamber, which is what we're trying to fix. So she's the person we're talking to. She has an interesting little cave here with all kinds of symbols and stuff. Anyway, let's see what she has to say. She's pacing the room, staring into space and muttering down at the little machine she holds in her hands. It takes her a moment to focus on you, but even before she does, her weapons are ready at the speed of instinct. You again? Fine, here I am. What do you want? Why are you hiding down here? I'm not hiding. Her rage is quick, hot, and palpable, and something about it makes your vision dim for a moment. I'm strategizing, planning. Why would someone live voluntarily in a place like this? She gestures around her, and as her eyes break contact with her, her emotion leaks from her frame. This is where I stay. It's a bolt hole, always has been, for those who know where to find it. Even Chila hid here, they say. Who's Chila? I don't know. What are you planning? Oh, were you part of my plan? You weren't. It's not your business. What can you tell me of the other Castoffs? Self-absorbed, treacherous, leave a trail of misery and suffering. Shall I continue? Also powerful, scheming, ambitious. But you want names, don't you? You won't get them from me, though. Not now. I remember Adiris, and I remember the First, and I remember Tosh, and I killed Tosh for what he did to me, for the hole he cut in my memory, but that hole grew and grew, and this is more than you need to know. They're bastards, all of them. You as well. I heard you might know who can repair a device I found on the reef. Something called a resonance chamber. The resonance? Ah, yes, of course he would have hid it here. Or there. A crooked grin plays about the corner of her mouth and then vanishes. I know who can help you, or did. It slips away. My mind has holes in it. Tosh took a rusty scalpel to my thoughts, my memories. I can't. She trails off. She catches hold of the table and seems to anchor her. Her eyes harden.
Making a note.
No. You must do something for me. She caresses the black and jagged device, knobbed and protruding with antenna. A sigil reminiscent of your tattoo is emblazoned on it. This is Tosh's mirror caster. I want you to enter his mirror and find out what you can about the jock. I'm convinced that's the key. It's a mirror caster. Ha. Am I really the first one to say that word to you? Oh, you're in for a surprise, dear brother. Every Castoff has one, just like every Castoff has this. She taps the tattoo on her hand. No one knows what they're for. Adiris used to think that they were a byproduct of the transfer process, just like us. Wherever they came from, they can be used kind of like a kind of temporal viewer. You relive an event in the life of a Castoff whose mirror caster it is. That event is called a mirror. Can it be used to spy on other Castoffs? Not spy, more like seeing pictures of their past, like watching them from the inside of their minds at times when they burned or raged or changed, when their life was in a moment of flux. Why can't you enter it? Don't you think I've tried? Do you think I would waste my time with a newborn, a thief who steals into my home, if there were any chance I could do this myself? I try and my mind fills with static, like I'm talking to a Murden, only it slashes and stabs and burns me, and then she blinks, confused. Why am I angry? Did you? She straightens, flipping the knife back into her cloak. No, it'll be all right. Just find the damn jock. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. What is a jock? You don't know? I thought it was a common instrument. No, it might not be so much anymore. One of the curses of a long life. Fashions come and go before you even know they exist. Probably easier just to let them go or make new ones of your own, like some of the other Castoffs. Sorry, no, not sorry. You should know this. You should know about things, history. That is what your life is, knowing and doing. Matkina, you need to focus. Tell him what he needs. A jock is an ancient woodwind, but this one was kept in a sealed cave behind massive doors from a prior world. It had powers, but I can't remember what those powers were. Okay, what's it unlock? If I knew that, I wouldn't need your help, would I? She lets out a long sigh. You stole that memory from me, alright? If you can find it for me, it will all come back, all of it. How do I enter it? Hold the mirror caster. You'll feel the tug immediately. Don't resist. Empty your mind and let the tides pull you into the mirror caster. Then just watch him. Watch for the jock. When you see what he's done with it, pull your mind away from Tasha's and tell me what you saw. Oh, and don't try to change anything. Why not? Nothing serious. It's not like you can change the past, but I need you to learn a specific piece of information. If you change something, you might go the wrong way. Fine. I'll do it. She plucks Tasha's mirror caster from the table. She looks at you, back at the device. She licks her lips as if weighing her options, and then, before she can hesitate anymore, she slaps it in your hands. It's surprisingly heavy. Do it. Find the jock. Bring me my answers. You focus on the device and feel something tugging at your mind. Oof. Everything is wrong. Tasha's body, now yours, clings like a wet cloak. The world is too bright for a nighttime. Everything is too clear. Distance is too close. Edges too sharp. Memories like blood flies buzz about your head, whizzing away before you can catch them. Hard-ridden Anine heave their flanks and huff behind you. Like you, they've gone too long without rest. And there's Matkina, a much newer Matkina, as drawn by a pandering portraitess. Too soft, too fresh, too pretty. All wrong. On the waste you see a light of campfires, and in the humble village before you, a bigger, brighter fire burns. That's a pyre. Inside a body that's too large burns too slowly. Greasy coils of smoke rise into the night. Villagers circle the bonfire, wailing and shaking. The headman's rough voice continues the ritual. From exile, you are released. You are released. He throws a handful of powder into the fire, metal salts perhaps, and a spray of shining embers rises into the night, mostly gold, some green, some purple. From wrath, you are released, they echo him. As the embers float out towards the plain and fade among the stars and campfires, you hear Matkina whisper reverently, you are released. Okay. Yeah, now it's telling me why. It's telling me which tides are going to raise based on my choices. Huh. I still don't know what the different tides are, so let's stare at the distant campfires and try to see where they are and use our perception, which we're pretty good at. Okay, we have a 90% chance, or we can go for 100 and not spend anything. Let's just take the 90. You squint your unnatural eyes and focus until the pyre of the village, everything else fades away. At last, the blurry campfires resolve into something crisper, and you see the faint shadows of men around them, men in long coats and broad hats, painstakingly cleaning their jazales and daggers. There are perhaps 100 of them. Matkina sees you staring and grunts, "Sand Knights." From her tone, it's obvious they are no friends of hers or yours. Let's, try to remember who you are and why you're here. Memories buzz, and in the sound are flickers of meaning. The body is, you are, Tosh. You're a soldier under the command of someone called Paj Reckon. You're a Castoff who can use the tides to destroy memories. You were sent here for something. An object, but exactly what you can't recall. There's a moment more to it, something insistent, important, and endlessly elusive. No matter how hard you try, it becomes no clearer. Okay, Matkina, listen to me. We need to find the jock and protect your memories. Find the what? Matkina stares at you dumbfounded and then shakes her head. Have a little respect, Tosh. This is my home. We're here to save people I've known for years. A moment later, she adds, not to mention, the only danger to memories around here is you, Tosh. Try your title surge on me and I'll burn out those fancy eyes right out of your skull. There's a smile on her face, and this isn't the first time Tosh has teased her or that she's promised a grisly fate in response. Okay, well, this is her from the past, so she doesn't actually remember. What's going on here? She answers without looking your way. Her eyes are locked on the fire and the flesh inside it. It's what they do when one of the hill peoples die. Never a burial, always upward. Plains people like me, we can bring kindling and weep, but we're forbidden to join the chant. I never got used to the smell of it, even when they burnt juniper or balsam. It's worst at the end. When it's done, there's no more wailing. For them, it's really a release. Okay, let's wait until it's finished. As the body burns in the mourners chant, you wait in the shadows at the edge of the village. At last the corpse is consumed and the headsman gives a final cry. To the distant dark you are released. The villagers echo him and then drift away, leaving him alone beside the smoldering pyre. Matkina with a hiss and a gesture leads you over. He sniffs the air at the sound of your approach and, with a broad smile, calls out, "Kina!" His eyes are large, milky marbles. He puts hands on her shoulders. You return in unpleasant times. She touches his cheek. I return because the times are unpleasant, Nang. Without another word, the three of you leave from the fire and enter Nang's dark hut. Nang's home is humble and small, hardly furnished and wholly undecorated. On entering, he lowers his weary bulk onto a hassock and gestures towards similar cushions for you and Matkina, then begins without preamble. They hung him from a tree, old Garib took their daggers to him, called it pruning. Blind to the other's expressions, he has become oblivious to his own and wears his pain and anger nakedly. With a grunt, he continues. They sent him home by skimmer, along with the compact they'd made to the plains people. He waves the crumpled sheet of paper on the floor. Tick read it to me. They promised to put an end to our menace, Kina. Why? We've always paid the blood price for whatever harm we've done. You know that. They know that. Yes, she says softly, but the Sand Knights won't take shins. You know that. The militia is here to help, Nang. You are who we stand for, the small, the threatened, the hunted. That's who we are too. Come away. If you tell the knights you are going, they won't force a fight. They have bigger battles ahead of them, believe me. But this is our place, Kina. Paj reckon will give you a home. Trust her. Nang is silent. Let's see. Let's say you don't need to trust Paj reckon, just trust Kina. Nang cocks his wide head. Why would I doubt her? There was a plains child, a beautiful boy, wandered too far into the waste and was gone. We all gave up on him, but Kina? She left that night with a knife and a lamp and a rope. Just said, I'll bring him back. Hardly spoke back then, our Kina. She sighs, made things easier. A week later, she comes back, the boy riding her shoulders, a string of Chirog heads dragging behind her. He fixes his blind eyes upon you. When she speaks, I trust, but even if Paj reckon sets land aside for us, we can't just leave. It's not so simple. Plains people can't understand. What is it we can't understand? What it means to be a hill person, what it's like to wrap yourself in chains every day. But maybe I'm an old fool. You're not the Kina who left, and you, stranger, you're soldiers. Maybe you've started to understand what it's like to hold yourself back. Matkina's answer is sharp. Nang, all my life I've had to restrain myself, but I'm not in the militia. It's freedom, Nang. The freedom of knowing what you're doing is right, and so you don't need to hold back. The old man shrugs. Then I was right. You can't understand. Well, let's try to persuade him. The only time it's too late to start a new life is when you're dead. Give your people a chance to survive. And we'll go ahead and spend a point to be extra persuasive. But I failed anyway. Nang shakes his head. Sometimes worst doesn't come to worst. We've survived here for generations. Maybe we can weather the Sand Knights. And like I said, it's not as easy as pulling up stakes. about this? He's your friend Matkina, you persuade him. She tells Nang to hold out his hand and whips out a knife and draws it across her palm in a deep cut. Blood wells out and fills his cupped hands. I would give you my last drop to save this place. The old man curses and spills the blood on the floor. Banish that, he mutters. Then we can't go without the jock. What, she asks. Up the hill behind the gate. The cave's been sealed for generations. Inside is the jock. It's what helps us keep our worst instincts inside. If we leave it song. He trails off, gesturing to the pyre outside. After a pause, he leans in, whispers in Matkina's ear. Now, you, alone of the plains people, know how to open the gate. Okay. You work your way up the terraced hillside, leaving Nang to make his case to the people. In the distance, you see that the Sand Knights are on the move, riding hard toward the Koln village. Nang will need to make his case to them, too. When you arrive at the cave and its huge ancient gateway, Matkina shakes her head. For years I wondered about this. The hill people tell a fable that the first men and women came out here. They said the gate would only open when it was time for our people to disappear. One way to keep the kids from poking out around and disturbing the jock, I guess. Something she said stirs your mind, and your memories jingle like a wind chime. Let's try to dredge up the memory that's troubling us. And I'm not going to spend any extra points, so yeah. The more you try to focus on the uneasiness, the more diffuse it becomes, like a fog that turns all sounds haunting and even friendly shapes into nightmares. You're sure there's something awful hidden in that fog, but it seems as if you'll never find it. What exactly are these hill people, Matkina? My family? Matkina sighs and taps her foot impatiently, impatient with herself, it seems, because she soon rushes forward. An Aeon priest named them Teratomorphs, but they don't use that name or any other. They've lived here on the hill for ages. They protect any plains people who sought shelter in the Koln village. They're not human. Sometimes they change, go wild. Usually it happens to the young, the old. People in the other villages call it skin changing, and they call the hill people monsters. It passes and they change back, but sometimes they leave the village and never turn back. They lose control. People get hurt. With a protective edge in her voice, she finishes, family. That's what they are, family, people. After you. She shrugs and quickly disarms the dozen ancient locks that have long kept the cavern sealed. With a gasp, the gate opens, and without waiting, she steps through it. You follow. What you find within is no cave tunnel. In fact, there's no stone at all. Rather, it's a smooth hallway made of greenish phosphorescent ceramic. Under its glow, you and Matkina take on the look of unburied dead. There seem to be no side passages, no chambers, merely a single path that curls ever inward, like you were in a shell of some great nautilus. From time to time, the walls are adorned with lifeless ciphers, arcane charts, even scorch marks as if from a struggle. They tell no tale for you to hear. At last you reach the tunnel's end, and there on the pedestal before you is what must be the jock. A kind of reed flute that plays an endless, formless song, at once almost too faint to hear and too haunting to bear. Whether the music is caused by the breeze blowing through the tunnel or by the jock itself is impossible to determine. The ceramic pedestal beneath it, alone of all the devices in the cave, still pulses with living energy. That energy causes the jock to float a fraction of an inch in the air. It doesn't rest on the pedestal so much as hang above it. So, here it is. What do you think this place is? Could be anything. You're the one that always says a person will go crazy trying to understand the world. I think the hill people must have come from here, or maybe they come through here. But we're not here to find the answers, we're here to get that. Let's examine it. While the jock and the wistful wind-blown notes is what you came for, it is the pedestal that draws your attention first. Hidden within, some secret mechanism holds the jock aloft, untouched and motionless. As you ponder its workings, you notice something else, a trap. Nestled below the jock is a serrated ring, and tiny ugly bolts of energy leap from tooth to tooth, ready to surge if their field is disrupted. Okay, let's disarm the trap. Oh, I'm not good at this. Yeah, we'll go ahead and use 2 points. Pedestal's machinery is ancient and wholly novel to you, but that is true of nearly every cipher and artifact in the Ninth World. The key is to stop grasping for the familiar, to stop seeking the underlying logic, and simply accept the thing before you on its own terms. With a hard eye and a delicate touch, you tame the device and disarm the trap. The jock stops floating and bangs twice, first against the pedestal, then against the ceramic floor. Matkina shakes her head in mock disgust, then picks it up. We got what we wanted. Let's go. They're waiting for you at the gate, the woman you immediately know to be Paj Reckon and her bodyguard, a half-dozen tattooed Castoffs with drab armor. Ooh, bunch of Castoffs. Mismatched weapons and languid readiness of predators. Past them in the village below, you see the Sand Knights have arrived and are meeting with Thang and the villagers. Without warning, one of the bodyguards lowers his weapon at Matkina and fires, but she's already moving, and takes a glancing blow. A knife is in her hand as another glaive aims a new device. Before Matkina can fling her blade, she's frozen, trapped in shimmering energy. Paj herself aims a tiny cipher at the jock. The others watch, paying you little mind. Attack them before they have a chance to hurt Matkina or take the jock. Or, what are you doing? Let's attack him first. You rush forward knowing that you have only an instant until the killer's eyes and arms are turned on you. The instant is shorter than you expect, and it is the last thing you know. Pain engulfs you. Your body is flung backward into the gate, a smoldering ruin that has just enough consciousness to know that this is the end. And then it's over. You are sloughing off Tasha's body, Tasha's mind, and all is dark. As your consciousness rises above the shadow of the mirror, something clicks in your mind. Something has changed deep inside you, but what? Matkina stares at you, the shock painfully obvious on her face. What did you do? I remember Tosh cutting me. I see holes in his mind. I remember him forcing me to the ground, tearing out my history with his tides. But I have other memories now. They're real. Tosh didn't do it. I saw him shot with an energy bolt. He was dead. He couldn't violate me, but he did try, didn't he? Matkina's opinion of you has improved. The two strands of memory, this is pulling me apart. No, it's pulling me back together. I remember now. That hole, it's almost gone. You changed reality. You changed it. I don't know if you meant to do that, but you've done more than your part of the deal. You asked about the resonance chamber. I know it. Mazov's the guy you want. He can fix anything. He might have even helped design the chamber you're talking about. Your best bet is to look for him in the Castoff Sanctuary. Meal a Vest. There's a Castoff Sanctuary? It's a sanctum, a refuge created by the First and our sire. It's shielded from the sorrow, supposedly. Our siblings like to hide there until they can't stand each other's company anymore. Can you take me there? I can use your help. I'll take you, but don't expect me to hold your hand. Probably better that I bring you personally anyway. Keep an eye on you. Make sure you don't get lost or killed. She walks to a table and unrolls a map of the Sage's Protectorate. We're not going to find it by walking there. The entrance is secret, known only to our kind here. She points to a spot on the map, many kilometers to the northeast. The Valley of Dead Heroes. There's a hidden portal in the necropolis, and in case something happens to me, memorize this. She writes the numbers 3431 down on a slip of paper, holds it in front of your eyes for several seconds, then crumples it in her hand. It's a code. It'll make sense when we get to the necropolis. We'll need an airship to get to the valley. That ladder leads to the caravanserai. We should be able to hire a vessel there without too much difficulty. With a glance around the cave, she says, I can't say I'll be sad to leave all this behind.
Making a note.
Okay, I actually have other questions. Fine, what do you want? I'm investigating some murders in the underbelly. Someone said that they were your work.
Making a note.
I haven't killed anyone in the underbelly for years. There's no money in it, no fear. I've got a style, a reputation to maintain. But if you found any clues at the scene, let me know. I admit I'm curious who would do a job in that hole. I did find a clue, a circle containing a triangle bearing a bleeding eye with another triangle breaking the circle from the right.
Making a note.
The Children's of the Endless Gate, a splinter sect of the Dendra O'Hur. Both of them gifts to the world from our beloved siblings. The Dendra are mostly harmless, disgusting as they are. Worthless as their creator is. They have a chapel in the underbelly. Go talk to them. Actually, did already talk to them. What's the story with you and the other Castoffs? You were in the mirror. You saw what happened. I wanted to make a difference, and they pissed on my hopes. After that debacle, I killed Tosh and fell out with the rest of them. The conflict between the first and the changing god swallows all of our siblings. One way or another. I didn't want that. I wanted to make my own way. They weren't pleased, and here I am. No worse for the lack of their company. And who's the first? She was, or she claimed to be. She's dead now. She said she'd fight for all of us. They say she was the one who founded Meal Avest for our sakes. Most of our siblings remember her as a hero. Most of them never actually knew her. She was driven, I'll give her that. Even with her decaying body, with all her hurts and wounds, she found masks to cover herself and the strength not to hurt, and kept plowing on. What can you tell me about the changing god? Brilliant, charming, ruthlessly self-centered. More blood on his hands than I'll ever have. Legend says he wiped out the Tabat, a nearly complete genocide. He left one alive as an object lesson, one of their generals enslaved in the city to teach his enemies not to cross him. Okay. How many Castoffs are there, anyway? Hundreds? Who knows? Supposedly the changing god went to other worlds, bent time and space, slipped through the dimensions, and he always had spare bodies with him. There could be thousands, millions, for all I know. Whoa. How'd you find this place? I listened to the stories of old thieves. I went to the Bloom and listened to the stories of Chila. I made friends with the Sticha and asked them if they knew about a place like this. Turns out they did. What can you tell me about this place? This is the Cave of Last Words. It was the Thieves' Hole until the tunnel leading in collapsed. 500-600 years ago, it was where the scum of the city would slip away from the city guard. Before there were levies, before there were slave families, the truly desperate lawbreakers fled here when they had no other options. That's a suicide tunnel, she points. The word on the cave walls, those are the final words of people with nothing left to lose. Etched on the bedrock of the city, burned in and burned out of by the hopeless, a fitting metaphor. If you question the worth of your life, these terminal thoughts are instructive. For a long time, they helped me hang on. And there's a ledge at the end of the tunnel, just in case those words are inspirational. The view is also quite nice. Okay. Thank you. So let's check this place out. Clay containers smell of cheap wine and spoiled food. Dirty wash basin sits atop a barrel of stagnant water. Okay. Let's see what else we got. I'm sure she won't mind, since she's coming with us.
Let's go.
Final words of countless men and women are scrawled on the stone wall. Some apologize to loved ones, while others rage against an injustice or a slight. A few left only their names. Okay, so we can either go to the Caravanserai, the Underbelly, or the Caravanserai.
So, kill anyone special today?
I could start with you, I suppose. But then the answer would still be no.
Wow, they like each other. Looks like we also leveled up, so let's take care of that. So we are now going to be tier 3. Step 3 of tier 1. Looks like our legacy has changed. Blue and gold. The blue tide represents wisdom, reason, and enlightenment. People attuned to this tide seek information and the preservation of knowledge in all forms, whether scientific or spiritual. Scholars, teachers, gods, and mystics are often attuned to this tide. Gold tide represents empathy, compassion, and sacrifice. People attuned to this tide consider the needs of those they care about to be greater than any other consideration. Martyrs, philanthropists, avengers, and guardians are often attuned to this tide. So I guess it's kind of like an alignment type thing, but I don't know if it has any game effects. Let's, I'm still not crazy about effort. It just seems like a way to spend extra points. So let's see. I can either raise my infuse weapon, or we can get another point of skill. I like that. Let's do that. I can do healing. Anamnesis seems to come up a lot. I think I'm going to do that. It also seems like of all of the other skills that we've got, we can use our allies to do this stuff. Where it seems like this is probably only going to be good for me. Cipher use also seems like something worth buying, but yeah, let's go ahead and get Anamnesis to help us to remember stuff. Okay, got here. I read these two. I don't know what to do about this haptic armor. What is this? Reveals the title effects of dialogue options. Oh, so this is the reason that we were seeing which tides would increase when we were doing doing that dialogue. Okay, let's see. Oh, it looks like Algern's actually going to go to the next tier. Let's improve the skill. Lower machinery, smashing, endurance. I think I'm planning on picking up lower machinery and maybe some of these others. So let's give him smashing. That seems good. You've reached tier 2. Abilities unlocked. Hard-earned knowledge. All other parties gain plus 5% lower machinery, lower mystical, and lower natural. That's cool. We're spurred by ink. While living tattoos is active, plus 50% movement speed, plus 1 max effort. Nice. Oh, so it's not an or. He gets both. Choose abilities to learn. 2 points remaining. Can give him plus 1 intellect pool and plus 1 armor. Give him an ability to gain protected or hook. Snare a target with a grappling hook and pull him towards you. So let's grab... Oh, I can only pick one of these. Let's... Oh, this adaptation actually affects all allies in the immediate area. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab that. Oh wow, look at that. So he's actually got tier 2 weapons, or abilities. And then Matkina, a furtive jack who murders. She's already tier 2. So what does she got? She's got flex skill like I do, infused weapon like I do, trained without armor like I have, an amoratic wound. When she is hidden or the target is blinded, she gains plus 20% on her attacks and confers an additional blinded on the target, which lasts for 3 rounds. Matkina never gains lasting damage when knocked to unconscious. She has warp dash, which looks like a short teleport. And she gets plus 5% on deception and stealth checks. She's skilled in perception, stealth, quick fingers, and light weapons. What does she have on her? She has leather armor, cloak, sonic blade. Okay. Alrighty. What does have? Oom's mass, epidermal casing, his biblet, his sploot, and a splurge. Okay.
What's it like
I don't think I'll be trading
Matkina?
More profitable than doing it for free.
That's not what I meant.
I know what you meant. That's still my answer.
Okay, let's real quick see. Algern, what is your problem here? What do you think of Matkina? I don't think about her. You poke predators, they tend to poke back. I'll keep my distance, thanks. I appreciate that. You smell like an old coat that's been left out in the rain. Didn't we find you living in a cave? I wouldn't start down the path of who smells worst if I were you. Okay. Hey, what do you think of Matkina? He says, it's an odd buzzing sound, pleasant but somewhat uncertain. You don't have to like me, Plenty of people don't. It's one of my favorite things about being myself. Reaches for her with a hesitant tendril. Wasn't asking to be comforted, but thinks all the same. Okay, and then what do you think of these two?
All right, out with it.
Out with what? Every new Castoff gets strange with the older Castoffs. If you're not feeling it now, you will. You look at me and you realize we're all vessels for the same consciousness, and then you start wondering if we share anything else. We're all a bunch of arrogant preeners with delusions of greatness. That might be about it. So what's your story? You were part of my story. What else did you need to know? Okay. How'd you become an assassin? Series of regrettable mistakes. Maybe I'll tell you about them someday, but not now. Did you ever see Paj reckon again? Once, in Mila Vast, Paj didn't even remember Cold Village. She didn't remember the people she sacrificed for her pointless, endless war, and she couldn't even understand why I'd care. I'd have had her throat if a dearest hadn't held me back, upheld her precious peace. And then when Paj was gone and I'd calmed down, one of the others asked what the problem was. He said the villagers would have all been dead in a few decades anyway. I vowed I'd never think about that like that, but here I am a couple centuries later, and people seem to die too fast and too young, and I can't let myself care. Immortality is a curse, especially when your companions in eternity are Castoffs. Yeah. I want to talk about what happened to you after I let Tosh's body in the mirror. I don't know when you left. Tosh wiped my memories and wait. No, Tosh died. He died, torn apart by the energy blast, killed forever, that's right? She taps her forehead with the heel of her palm as if to drive the memory home. Yes, that's it, gods. You rode him and you killed him. Such power, you can change the world. After that, I traveled the world. I went back to Colm to remind myself what humanity does to the strange and the different. I realized I had no purpose. I went to Mil Avest to see what our brethren were doing. They hadn't changed at all. They told me to gather power. Our Creator made many things, but most of all, He made us mad for strength in all our forms. I scorned their advice, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized the truth. When you're powerful, people can't hurt you, or the ones you love. Might be power paints a target on those you love. I thought about that, but at least when you have that strength, you can fight back. You won't be helpless. She sighs and then lets the familiar hardness creep back into her voice. So I came to Sage's Cliffs. I started working. One of our brothers hired me, and then he betrayed me. I thought he'd help me, but just like Paj, just like the first, just like Tosh, he turned on me, and that's when I learned you can't trust anyone. So I struck back at him hard. It was then that I decided to make my own organization. That lasted about a decade. The endless politics inside the group, the recriminations, fighting with other gangs, the inevitable betrayals, ugh. I gave up on that and went solo. Eventually I went back to the Bloom and worked for the Mimovira, the old one, I mean. Those were good years. I felt like I belonged. There was friction to be sure, but we were a team. And then my favorite mortal got betrayed too. You want to know why I was hiding before you found me? It's because I learned that I'm best on my own. If you don't have people, you can't be betrayed. There. You've got your story. Let's not talk about it anymore. I have other questions. I wanted to talk to you about the people we're traveling with. Oh, gossip. How exciting. What do you think of Allegern? Dour, self-righteous, carrying the world's grief on his back. He'd have made a good Castoff. I'd kill myself first. See? Tattoos, a tendency towards recreational suicide. All you're missing is the secret handshake. Secret handshake? Oops, I shouldn't have said anything. Is too damn eager to please. Reminds me of some Castoffs I know. Burn. That wasn't a compliment. Fine. You know what? You're welcome. Okay. Let us...
Done.
One thing I will say is, like having to go and search the walls and stuff to see if I've missed anything. Yeah, I feel like I'm like not hovering over the right pixel, and I'm gonna miss something important.
All right.
We'll see. Though weathered, the rungs on the ladder are firm and strong. At the top of the ladder, you can see a closed hatch, and also discern the levers that hold the hatch snugly closed. Ascend to the ladder. And on to the caravanserai. Okay. Yep, this is a whole new area.
All right.
Let's just take a quick look around. We got silver orphans and young men. We got levy. We got guards. We got envoys. We have what looks like an inn here. An airship captain. Okay. She mentioned we were going to need to find an airship captain to go to the next place, but we still have a lot to do here, I think. Tranquility's Rest, the Cave of Last Words.
Why are you always sighing, Aligern?
You don't know my history. You wouldn't understand.
So, boredom then? In case you haven't noticed, you don't have a monopoly on tragedy here.
Fine.
Yeah, they're gonna get along just great. You can already tell. Let's see, we got a merchant.
Of course.
We got sailors. Okay, got some more stuff here. Yep, looks like we got plenty to do. So let's
Here we go then.
who's this sailor? Oh, that looks like it's an airship up here. More airships. Okay. So this looks like a good place to stop for now. Next session we will probably investigate here, find out what's going in the caravanserai. I'm not in a huge hurry to leave yet. We still have to go and solve the murder. Looks like we'll be going back to the Didro for that. I have a couple of other notes of things to check on. We found that Changing Gods lab that still had a few other mirrors that we hadn't checked on. It's possible those take us to other places too, but I'm going to go back and check that out and yeah, maybe go and tie up some loose ends and then we can head on. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like the murder quest is the only thing that we made any progress on. Discover more about Oom's past. It seems to be encouraging me to improve my affinity to the tides before I can learn more. Okay, well. But yeah, we've got some other quests to do. But yeah, so we'll take a look at that next time and see how things are going. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Take care. I'll see you soon.